And that's what our mission is. Let's go get our first one. And we are both actively working as we speak to get our one.
This is like September, that's what I meant, like when,
Yeah,
when would
So I can't say we will have one by September,
the goal?
but the goal would be to get one. And whether that's by September of this year, or it's January or September of next year, but our goal is to go get one. Because one hopefully gets two.
Yep.
And then you can say we have students.
We have had students.
So the students that come, sorry.
Yes, no.
More questions.
Sounds good.
Is there a mandatory English as a second language in the event they're coming from non-English speaking countries?
So there's a process in which, again, why we brought Philip in to help vet. So the kids, students coming in have some comprehension and understanding of our language.
Yep.
And can be able to participate without drawing a burden onto the school to provide that service.
Okay.
So we know we have to provide a little bit of that service, and we have things in place to do that without additional cost. But for us to have to go out and get a whole person because the individuals that
Yep.
have come have limited or no ability to communicate. That's why we have the vetting process in place.
I had a question to follow up. Good. Interest from families for hosting? I know some schools have struggled with finding enough host families. I was curious how we're doing in that.
So we haven't, we want to get the student, and then we'll find the family. So I put out 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I put out some feelers regarding a summer program for 15 families to host two students coming in, 2 children in each household coming in from Japan. And I had some positive response, but not a huge positive response. Again, that was sort of the stepping off point. Hopefully, as we continue to have these conversations, as we continue to make promotional materials, I feel comfortable that I could get, if I get one student, I feel comfortable I can get one host family. I feel very confident in that.
And another part of the program that he set up includes a stipend for the host family, so that would help too.
Sure. Great, thank you.
Paul, can I interject a quick question on this subject?
Actually,
It's
is it
really
just a
quick-
point of
it's a very
information?
basic, quick question.
Yeah, is it a point of information or is it a question? So you can
No.
direct that question to the next item after we do our.
Okay, no, it's not
manifest.
really, it's just a quick question on the program.
Could you ask it, and then we can just discuss it afterwards? I mean, at
You mean
public
ask it
comment?
now, just throw it out there, or later?
Okay, go right ahead.
I'm just wondering, I thought we have done exchange students before. It sounds like this is brand new, and I know when my son was here, there were some exchange students. I'm just wondering what the difference is.
I would like you to answer that question.
So in the past, we've had cultural exchange students that come up with more of a cultural opportunity, and there isn't a tuition that's charged for that. This is coming over the academic, which is a tuition charge.
Thank you, Jody. Russ, thank you. Hearing no further comments on this topic, we'll move to the manifests, and I'll entertain a motion to put those on the table. So, someone like to make a manifest motion.
I make a motion to approve manifests 2017-18, 2017-19, as well as the payroll manifests 2017-19, 19.1, 2017-20, and 2017-20.1.
Motion made by Brian. Do I hear a second to that motion?
A second.
Thank you, Ed. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none,
I'm
motion.
abstaining
Oh,
because I wasn't
we
wasn't
have-
on the
We have
board.
one abstention
period.
and the motion carries. Thanks.
Is this a good chance, since I wasn't on the board when you accepted the minutes, to just point out that your March 8th says library and not musical as well? For the agenda.
You mean the March 23rd?
No, the one, March
March
8th.
8th.
Doesn't really matter if you want to correct it.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, it was. I'm sorry. We had it at Central School.
Elementary, you're right. I was thinking back to
Yeah.
this library.
All right, thank you.
Sorry.
You had it right.
No worries, no worries. Now, next on our agenda is the public forum portion of our meeting. And this is agenda as well as other topics that are important to you, being mindful of board policy and give the microphone to you for 3 minutes. Seeing no movement? Oh, go ahead, Jody.
Jody Manson, Young Hill Road. First off, I just wanted to, I mentioned to Ed at a couple meetings ago, I guess, we were talking about the alcohol awareness program. I think it's really important that the kids are also spoken to about sleep deprivation, because it's as important and it plays a big part in how dangerous it is to get behind the wheel when you're sleep deprived. And I think kids kind of already know about the alcohol thing to a point, and it's not a bad thing to reinforce it at all. But I hope that the sleep deprivation is included. We're talking teenagers who think they're invincible and don't nearly get enough sleep. So I'm hoping that gets included and really pushed for them to realize that in that program along with the alcohol.
Thank you, Jody.
The other thing I wanted to mention is I am part of the Right to Know New Hampshire group. And I received an email last night saying that they were going to send out this email to all municipalities, school boards, and SAU. Wanted to know if you guys had received that, and thought it would be really important for you guys to realize that the Right to Know New Hampshire is offering training on the Right to Know law. That would have been kind of a personal thing for me, because that would have been really helpful for our former chairman to have realized what the Right to Know laws were, as he and his family handed out my personal information that had my daughter's personal information. So I think it's super important for you guys to be up to date on that and know what's going on to avoid further problems.
Thank you, Jody.
My last thing I'd like to mention is, again, it's a personal thing for me, but after tonight's unanimous vote on the contracts, and I don't think it's a secret that I'm a bit of a disenfranchised parent, which is why I've been to so many meetings in the last couple of years. I feel like I'd like to just point out that the issues that my daughter had, she never received an apology that she rightly deserved. And I wanted to take the time tonight, maybe, to offer an apology to the administrator that my child had trouble with. So I'm sorry that my daughter ever stepped into that office at her request. I am sorry that my daughter was so upset by your hurtful, stinging words that she did not have the wherewithal to get up and leave your office at that time. I am also sorry that out of respect for you as an adult, she felt she had to sit there in your office and take the bashing she took from you. Maybe someday I will forgive your actions, but not today. And I put this question out to you as board. How many more children have to suffer before you care? Thank you.
Appreciate your comments.
John Augustine. So my comment is we heard about many wonderful things tonight, including field trips and all the staff being trained on heart-safe topics. Coaches, faculty, etc. Exchange program. But there was never any mention of cost. And I find that to be consistent with all the previous meetings that I've attended. And so, at least from my perspective, when there's never any mention of cost with any of these programs, it gives the impression that cost is irrelevant. So I would ask and encourage that in the future, there be some cost numbers attached to these various things, because they all sound good if they're free. If they're not free, then there needs to be some deliberation, discussion as to whether it's worth the cost. So if all the board members get cost figures on these things in front of them and the audience doesn't, that's one thing. But the impression from sitting in the audience is that cost is literally never discussed, other than the paving project, $40,000. And when cost just never gets discussed, the impression that I take, and I think others take, is that you just feel like cost is irrelevant.
Thank you for your comments, John. Any other?
Do you want to clarify?
Hi,
we're not
Karen
Q&A.
Spanos, 10 Stagecoach Lane. I'd just like to echo Jody's sentiments a bit. I, applaud you for putting on the Heart Safe community program, but this community was not Heart Safe for my child. And the 3 administrators that you just renewed their contracts, we had issues with each one of them caring enough in certain instances. So I know some of you are aware of the issues going on with the administration. I know you've received packets outlining cases where there was not proper conduct. And I just want you to remember that you were elected for your conscience. And if more fallout comes out, you just put these people back in a position of power and responsibility with an impact every day on students in the district. So just something to remember. Thanks.
Thank you for your comment. Oh, Karen Spanos. Seeing no movement to the microphone, I'll close the public comment portion for this meeting and ask for a motion. Actually, no, we're going to talk about the setting agenda.
Yes, please.
As the meeting moved and progressed, one of the things that struck me, I would like to talk to the board about putting in business before hours, meaning a 1-hour meet and greet for the new faces on this board and the old faces on this board to be available to the public an hour before, just to shake a hand, put a face with a name, and ask you guys if you're willing to do that at 6 o'clock before our next board meeting to entertain questions from folks that are interested in meeting the greetings.
May 3rd.
Thank you. That was the question.
I really like that idea. Do we need to have any language that expresses that during this meeting we are just individual
I think you just said it.
people?
Yeah, it's because we're in the room together as a board, we have to call it a meeting. No business during that portion of time will be discussed, other than, trying to break some walls down and getting people to understand that we're on this side of the table and human beings, and you guys are over there, and hopefully at a point in time, not maybe tomorrow or the next month or maybe even a year from now, that we can start working in a way that is positive. All right, I make that suggestion to see if you guys would be interested in that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Sure.
And my time is up. Also, I'd like to be, I'm on the policy committee, so BHED. Okay, go ahead. I'm going to hand it back to you and ask you to fill out our agenda.
So a couple things that we heard tonight. We'll have a follow-up from CIP regarding back parking lot. We potentially will bring a rule and procedure forward regarding placement and filling of a board member. I will have some other nominations of staff coming forward in May. And
And while in policy, the right to know thing is, well, not the right to know, the public speaking, the public comment portion of the right to speak is very nebulous, so hearing more information on that, presenting it back to us as a board, I think is important.
okay, so we'll follow up with BEDH as well.
Thank you. Is there any other business we need to talk about?
I was just thinking it might be opportune time to just get an update on the senior project process, now that this one will be ending, just for the new board members to get an introduction to that, what it is, what it entails, what the expectations are. I don't know if a 10-minute presentation just on, because how many years have we been doing the senior project?
I think 1996 was the
Wow.
first graduating class.
Okay. So I don't know if that's just a
Do
quick
a
presentation on,
presentation.
would that be?
All right,
Sounds good.
so, we finished with agenda? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Just, did we want to discuss about the board training for the new board members too? Do we have everything in place?
Sure, so I am in the process of setting up a regional board training for the Southwest, as part of the state, and in communication with Barrett Christina and the School Board Association, and we're getting them to come out, not here, but to this region, to do a bigger group, so you're not necessarily sitting one-on-one, so you get a little more perspective. And I'll be happy to let you know as soon as I get that date for you. If that date doesn't work for you, they do have some that they run in Concord, and I'll give you those dates as well if you need to go down there. You know, if all else fails, we'll pick an afternoon, you come on in and I'll bring them to you and we'll do a one-on-one.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say, I think that would help the new board members.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even us old guys.
Exactly, refresher.
So, thank you, now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
I will second.
Ed, seconded by April, all those in favor, favor saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you to the audience